Hello and welcome to Challenge Solutions' second episode of our Mathematical Tips and Tricks for the Blind and Visually Impaired series. My name is Cole Phillips, and in today's episode, we will be going over the order of operations. First, let's start with a definition of operations. Operations is adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, or as you move forward in math, squaring or square rooting different numbers within math. So, order of operations is just the order in which you do a math problem. It's as simple as that. So, to start, we are going to use an acronym to help us move forward with our order of the operations episode today. And that acronym is GEMS. G-E-M-S. Now, this acronym stands for grouping, exponents, multiplication / division, since they are opposites, and subtraction / addition, since they are also opposites. Now, grouping is things like parentheses or brackets. This acronym determines what operation we perform first in a math problem. So we start with grouping. Now, grouping can be a set of parentheses or brackets, and it simply means we need to complete the math problem within the parentheses or brackets before we move on to the rest of the problem. Now, the second letter in GEMS is E. That stands for exponents. Now, this simply means just the power of a number. We won't be dealing with it much in this episode, but that could be a number squared or cubed or to the power of 4, 5, and that also means the opposite of square root or cube root or fourth root and so forth. But again, we will not be dealing with that in this episode. Now, the next letter, M, multiplication / division, we'll be dealing with heavily, as well as subtraction / addition. Now, with the basics out of the way, let's look at how this is applied to an actual math problem. For starters, let's deal with a problem such as 2 times 3 plus 4 times 5. Now again, that's 2 times 3 plus 4 times 5. So in this case, with GEMS, let's look for our G grouping. Now, I did not say any parentheses or brackets, so we move on to the next letter, exponents. There are no exponents in this problem, so now we move on to the next letter, which is M, for multiplication / division. Now, there is multiplication in this problem. 2 instances of it. 2 times 3 and the 4 times 5. So we will actually solve those parts of the equation before we solve the rest of it. Let me explain. So 2 times 3 plus 4 times 5. What we are going to do is start by breaking it down into the smaller problem of just 2 times 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. And you can think of this as this 6 for now replacing where that 2 times 3 was, okay? So if you think of 2 times 3 and then a plus symbol in between that and 4 times 5. So if you have 2 times 3, that's 6. So now we have 6 plus 4 times 5. Now again, I know the plus comes before, at least in left to right sense, comes before 4 times 5, but the order of operations, or GEMS, states that multiplication will always come before subtraction / addition, the S in GEMS. So we need to do 4 times 5 before we deal with the addition sign. So in that case, we'll do 4 times 5, which is 20. So then, if we go back to our original problem of 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 4 times 5, which is 20. Now, if that 6 replaces the 2 times 3, and the 20 replaces the 4 times 5, we are now left with 6 plus 20. And so now you can move on to your S in GEMS, subtraction / addition, and that will give you a final answer of 6 plus 20, or 26. So that is the very basic form in which order of operations is necessary to solve the equation correctly. Let's move on to something that uses a grouping symbol, such as a parentheses around 2 plus 4, and then the parenthesis closes. Visually, a parenthesis has an opening parenthesis and a closing parenthesis, and everything within the opening and closing parentheses is what is within that grouping in GEMS. Okay, so now, back to our problem. We have our grouping symbol, parentheses, 2 plus 4, closing parentheses or end parentheses, plus open parentheses, 5 plus 5, close parentheses. Now, before we start attacking the problem, let's think about GEMS. So GEMS, grouping symbols first. We need to do the grouping symbols before we move on to anything else. So we had our grouping symbols of 2 plus 4, and then a plus sign, and then another opening grouping symbol or opening parentheses, 5 plus 5, closing parentheses. So we're going to do the 2 plus 4 and the 5 plus 5 before we do anything else. So 2 plus 4 is 6, and the 5 plus 5 is 10. Now, just like we did with the multiplication, we're going to think of it as if those numbers have now replaced where the 2 plus 4 and the 5 plus 5 were. So the 2 plus 4 in the parentheses is now just a 6. We have our plus sign, and we'll move on to our other set of parentheses, where it was 5 plus 5, which is 10. So now, just like we did with our previous problem, we have 6 plus 10. And now we can move on to the rest of GEMS. E for exponents, we don't have any exponents. M, multiplication slash division, there's none of that present in this problem. And then S for subtraction slash addition, which there is. We just had our 6 plus 10, which will give us 16. So there we go. I think we're ready to move on to a question that's a bit more difficult. So, for this problem, we are going to start with a set of parentheses. So we will have open parentheses, 4 plus 3, close parentheses, times 2 minus 4. So again, that's open parentheses, 4 plus 3, close parentheses, times 2 minus 4. Now remember GEMS. So we're going to have G for GEMS, grouping. Is there grouping in this problem? Parentheses or brackets? Yes. We started our problem with a set of parentheses. So we will do that part of the problem first. So we had open parentheses, 4 plus 3, close parentheses. So 4 plus 3 is 7. So now we have 7 times 2 minus 4. So, in this case, we move on to the E in GEMS for exponents, and there are no exponents in this problem. So we move forward to M, multiplication slash division. Is that present at this point in the problem? Yes. 7 times 2. So we're going to do that before we deal with the rest of the problem. So 7 times 2 is 14. So now we're left with 14 minus 4. Now the last part of GEMS is subtraction slash addition. And is there subtraction left in this problem? Yes. That's the last part of the problem of 14 minus 4. And that equals 10. So the answer to the problem of open parentheses 4 plus 3, close parentheses, times 2 minus 4 is 10. All right. So now we're going to move forward with some practice problems, just like we did in our last episode. I will read a problem out loud. I will repeat it, and you can rewind and listen to it again if you need to. I will pause for a few seconds. You can do the problem yourself, and then I will go over the answer, and hopefully you will get it right. For our first practice problem, we are going to have parentheses 5 minus 2, close parentheses, plus 3 times 5. Again, that's open parentheses, 5 minus 2, close parentheses, plus 3 times 5. You may pause now and come up with the answer on your own, and we will go over the answer together in a second. Okay, so let's go over our problem again. Open parentheses, 5 minus 2, close parentheses, plus 3 times 5. So, GEMS. G, grouping. Do we have grouping? Yes, in the parentheses. So we do the parentheses first. 5 minus 2, which is 3. So now we are left with 3 plus 3 times 5. Now E, exponents, no exponents in this problem. M, multiplication / division, and yes, there is multiplication left in this problem of 3 plus 3 times 5. So even though the 3 times 5 does come after the 3 plus, we will do the multiplication first. This is where order of operations becomes crucial, because if you do it incorrectly, it will give you a different answer. So, multiplication, we will do the 3 times 5 first, which is 15. So now we are left with, in total for this problem, 3 plus 15. We move on to the last letter of GEMS, which is subtraction / addition, which there is, in that being 3 plus 15, which will give us an answer of 18. If you got the answer of 30, this means that you accidentally did the 3 plus 3 before you did the multiplication. That being 3 plus 3 is 6, giving you 6 times 5, which is 30. That is incorrect because in GEMS, in the order of operations, the M, multiplication / division, comes before subtraction / addition. So you must do the multiplication of 3 times 5 before you add 3, rather than adding 3 plus 3 as 6 and multiplying 5 to get 30. It's okay. It's a common mistake when you're first learning the order of operations, but you will get the hang of it, I promise. All right, now for our final practice problem. This one will be a little bit tougher, but just as before, I'll read the problem aloud, I'll repeat it, and you can go over the answer on your own, and we will go over the answer together. So for this problem, we have 20 minus, open parentheses, 6 minus 30 divided by 10, then close parentheses. So again, that's 20 minus, open parentheses, 6 minus 30 divided by 10, closed parentheses. You can pause the video now and go over your answer for yourself, and then we will go over it together in a second. Okay, now this one is a bit more difficult, so I'll go over it slowly and make sure we do it correctly. So, GEMS, G, grouping. Are there parentheses in this problem? Yes. 20 minus, open parentheses, 6 minus 30 divided by 10, close parentheses. So we deal with what's everything that's within that parentheses before we deal with any part of the problem. So, inside of the parentheses, we had 6 minus 30 divided by 10. Now, GEMS works within parentheses as well. So within a parentheses, we have the 6 minus 30 divided by 10. Within this parentheses, there are no other grouping symbols, right? If we apply GEMS to everything within the parentheses. There is no grouping symbols, and there are no exponents. Is there multiplication / division? Yes. So we will do the division within the parentheses first, before we deal with anything else. So we will do 30 divided by 10 first, giving us 3. So now, still within the parentheses, we have 6 minus 3. So now we can move on to subtraction / addition within those parentheses. That being 6 minus 3, which gives us the answer of 3. Now that the parentheses are out of the way, we can look at our entire problem of 20 minus what is now 3. So we don't have any grouping, exponents, multiplication, or division. So that leaves us with our last letter of subtraction / addition, which there is in 20 minus 3. So we can go ahead and do that, and that will give us an answer of 17. So with that, that will conclude the end of our second episode of Mathematical Concepts, Tips and Tricks for the Blind and Visually Impaired. This episode being over the order of operations. I hope this video helped you in some way, and if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can leave them in the comment section of this video, or you can reach us on our contact form at challengesolutions.org. Please leave a like and subscribe so that YouTube knows we exist, and I hope to see you in the next episode.